All right guys, Bryan Schmitt here. I'm gonna talk to you about the versatility of the quiver worm from Missile. You know, it's a bait that I use almost year round all over the country. It's a definite unique bait. I'm gonna show you 3 different ways I really like fishing it, and it comes in 2 sizes and a bunch of really cool colors. So, you know, when you look at this bait, guys, you know, what sets this apart? Okay, you know, there's a million stick worms out there, you know, that all have very, very similar action. And there's a reason why they get bit, guys. A stick, you know, a stick bait or stick worm is just an excellent choice for any scenario where, you know, you need to present a soft plastic to a fish, you know, that's relating to cover, relating to grass, on a bed. You know, this isn't a technique that I fish in really deep water, or a bait that I fish in really deep water. This is probably a bait that I'm gonna fish like 10 foot or less. But you know, the thing that I really like that sets it apart is the tail. The tail has an incredible amount of action without doing much. So what happens, however you fish this, if it's on a drop shot, Nico, or Texas rig, doing nothing, this tail's still moving just a bit, okay? This is what I believe sets it apart, is this tail. You know, we have ribs all through the body of the stick worm, plenty of really cool colors. But, you know, let's just give you understanding, like, or a scenario that I've seen work really well is like in Florida, when I'm fishing for spawners that I can't see via fishing pads or just shallow grass, and I'm taking a Texas rig quiver and I'm throwing it out on really long casts and just letting it sit with the thought that there is a spawner looking at it that I can't see. I believe this tail gets me a lot of bites. I believe this is doing enough while the bait is stationary to just gather their attention. So, with that being said, this is a way that I fish this. This is a drop shot setup, okay? When I want to present a little bit bigger profile bait than a magic worm or a bomb shot, I'll go to the quiver, you know, in the 4.5 or the 6.5 inch. And I Texas rig it, you know, I keep it weedless, okay? I'm not nose hooking this. And this is something, like I said, it's still finessey, but it's a bigger profile drop shot rig. That's one way I do it, okay? Now let's talk about the Nico, which is something near and dear. When I won Lake Champlain, this was a major tool of mine. So this is an incredible bait fished on a Nico, you know, with this tail, okay? I generally put my weight in this end, you know, the head of the quiver, and it falls, you know, a slow fall on the Nico, and it hits the bottom, and this tail is just sitting there quivering around via the quiver. So, Nico, excellent choice, you know, 4.5 or the 6.5 size, depending on where you're at. Now, a lot of times if I'm targeting smallmouth, I'll go to the 4.5. I'm targeting largemouth, I'll go to 6.5. It's kind of my bread and butter. Or spotted bass, sometimes I'll go to the 4.5 inch. And then another way, which we already talked about, is just the Texas rig. Okay, I've caught a ton of fish on this worm, guys. Fishing shallow, okay? Texas rig, like we talked about, in pads, shallow grass, flipping wood. It's such a deadly deal when I believe fish are spawning that you can't see. That it sets you apart from a regular stick worm because of this tail. When you're fishing for spawners you can't see, you need to present a bait and leave it there. You want to think there's a fish sitting there. You know, think about when you visually spawn or visually bed fish. it's not always the initial drop that bedfish bites. It's sitting there, it's sitting there, it's sitting there, and finally that fish bites. So the quiver is an excellent choice for this, because when it's sitting there still, just a little bit of movement still with this tail. And I think there's another scenario that I don't really want to get too wrapped into talking about, but there's a lot of freshwater eels, guys. You know, eels aren't just only in saltwater. I have seen schools of freshwater eels in numerous lakes around the country, and that tail is similar to how an eel is. So imagine a fish is on bed and a school of 5 or 6 salt or freshwater eels swim in and start to attack the fish's bed. They're gonna be really pressed to eat that eel. And this is an imitation, 100%. That's something a lot of people don't know, but there is plenty of lakes with freshwater eels. So, you know, the quiver's got you covered in a lot of scenarios. There's more ways to rig it than just what I mentioned. I know guys that throw it on Carolina rig. I know guys that throw it on shaky heads. But these are 3 core ways that I do it. It's an excellent choice. It's just a little bit better than your other stick worms on the market.